Hello, I'm Manavultus, and today I wanted to talk about how uh, J. Edgar's idea of Congress working for flat rate is actually a bad idea. Now, with all due respect to J. Edgar, I think it was a very interesting idea, an idea that was certainly novel to me. However, I do believe that there are a few flaws in this system. So, first of all, in an ideal state, there would be no need for Congress to write any laws. That is to say, that ideally, all laws that exist or the legal code is sufficient to the degree that most situations encountered by the country are easily dealt with by the existing legal code or by private forces that don't require intervention. Now, under a flat rate system, this would mean that all the congressmen would simply not pass laws and therefore would not get paid, even though it is actually a good thing that they're not passing laws because passing laws might upset the system. Now, you might say, then in that case, that's fine. But the problem is that then you still need them to be on the payroll and you still need them to be there because what if an unforeseen situation arises? At which point, then suddenly you'd be happy to have all these congressmen there so that they can actually analyze the issue and solve it. So, in that way, that is one way that the flat rate system is problematic because in an ideal state, it ends up doing more harm than good to the readiness of a country to solve unforeseen problems. Now, a second reason that I believe the flat rate idea is a problem is because under a flat rate system, there are some bad incentives going on here. So, for example, there is an incentive to get bills passed so that the congressman can get paid. In other words, they want to make sure that they get bills passed. And that means that they're going to put out low impact bills that they can then easily get bipartisan support, and then they're going to start playing around political games as to whether they're going to support or oppose these bills in order to mess perhaps with each other's paychecks. But it eventually is going to lead to a problem of corruption. And I'm not saying that there isn't already a problem of corruption on this issue, because there already is, but I believe it would actually make the corruption worse because you just have an endless stream of low impact bills just shuffling money around from one agency to the other. Things that wouldn't really be objectionable to most people, but that under a long term view don't really have any impact, therefore making them easy bills to support, which then people are going to support. Now, another problem with incentivizing people to get bills passed is that, of course, not all bills are good. Now, you might say that under this situation, there would be an incentive to make better bills, but if the Overton window is polarized, then the problem arises that some people will likely try to vote for a bill that they normally wouldn't want to pass simply because they want to get paid. And unfortunately, greed is a very powerful force. And congressmen are unfortunately not very immune to it. So I think a better solution would be to, instead of trying to form a sort of pay grade incentive for Congress to get more bills passed, because more is not better. Sometimes less is better, sometimes less is more, sometimes more is less. So there's always a balance here. Instead of doing that, what you could instead do is restructure the legislative system entirely so that you can have a multi-leveled system going from local towns to maybe counties, then states, and then eventually the national level, each voting only directly for those immediately above themselves, so that then, in order for someone to get elected at the local level, there would be a minimum amount of a minimal amount of marketing required, and for everybody on a level above that, in order to be elected, they simply have to appeal to a group of people that have already been decided by the people to be reliable. And by shrinking down the voter pool from, let's say, 1 million people per congressman to maybe a few thousand, or maybe a couple tens of thousands or something, what that creates is a system wherein the politicians that are elected are considered to be reliable, and being good leaders, they are also likely to elect individuals above themselves who are also reliable. And also, by being directly accountable to those below them and holding those above them directly accountable, it leads to a system wherein there is little push towards centralization. Because if you are at the top and you're trying to centralize, you're probably going to lose votes because you're taking power away from the people immediately below you. Which is different from the current system, because with the current system, if the people at the bottom can vote for the people at the top and bypass the people in between, what the people at the bottom can do is they can simply take away power from the people in between to give them to the top, which is exactly what happens in our system. So I believe that this also would reduce lobbying and would reduce large campaign donations, because since large campaigns are completely unnecessary, it means that a lot of what normally would be lobbying or campaign donations can easily be then reclassified as bribery and therefore banned, removing a lot of money from politics, and also therefore reducing the undue influence of the extremely wealthy individuals, such as the technocrats and the Silicon Valley folk. So there you go. So people, tell me what you think. Do you think my system would be better at solving these problems, or do you think J. Edgar's system would be better at solving these problems? Thank you all for watching, and I'll be seeing you all next time on Awiltus over and out.